Hello everyone and welcome to Merlin's Manor. Today I'm going to be reviewing Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition. In the process of this review, I'm going to do a little bit of comparison with the original Terraforming Mars, which I'll refer to going forward as Terraforming Mars, and referring to this one as Ares Expedition going forward. Now I'm going to also look at all three different modes and compare those three different modes, from the multiplayer mode to the two-player cooperative mode, and finally the solo mode, and talk about each of those and what I think about them. First of all, I'd like to start out by going over some of the components. Now, I have the Kickstarter edition, so I'm going to have slightly better components than you're going to find at retail, and I'll talk about that a little bit as I go. First of all, I want to talk about the board. Now, this board is going to be the same, both Kickstarter and retail. And I think, in general, I like this board. The few complaints I do have is that the terraforming track is a bit tight along the way. If you have more than one person on a thing, it's not going to fit very well. You're going to have to put it next to the squares. They could have been a little bit bigger, but then again, they're trying to keep it kind of small, so I understand why it's not quite big enough for even two cubes on a square. Some people have made some of their own custom boards where they've made it different, where you can fit things on a little bit better. To each their own on that. I find this board workable. Another thing that I didn't like was the oxygen meter. That was the temperature. The oxygen meter over here is a bit thin for the cubes that you're supposed to put on there, and so I still find that to be a little bit problematic. Although during the games we did a pretty good job of keeping track of where the oxygen was, even though it was a little oversized on the cube. As far as the middle here with the ocean tiles, it can be a little difficult to get to the ones that are in the middle. I don't think that's that big of a problem, but also it's a little bit unnecessary to even have this space, but it's kind of cool to kind of immerse you in there as well. You could just as easily stack them up in a stack and then take one off the top, and it would be the same basic idea. But it is kind of cool still to have that little bit there where you can kind of get a little bit immersed as you're seeing the oceans going on to Mars there. And so that's just a little bit about the board there. Overall, I think it's a good board. Could have had a few tweaks there, but it's still good. Now here, this tray is specifically Kickstarter edition, so you won't have this if you got the standard retail edition. But I think the cubes are very nice. Go ahead and open it up, and I should turn it the other way so they're not going to fall out. And so they are very nice cubes. And you see I keep my clear cubes that are markers for the temperature and oxygen right in there with the gold cubes. Been a convenient way to store that. So they are very nice cubes. I think they're going to last very well. I like them. I'm not going to feel the need to upgrade. Another thing I want to talk about is the player board. Now, because I had the Kickstarter edition, I have a dual layer, which you can see there are. It's got a place where you put the cubes down in. You're not going to have that if you get the retail version, which is kind of a shame. For those who are going to get the retail version, you're going to probably want to upgrade this, because with all the things you're keeping track of on here, you don't want to accidentally bump it and then you're like, well, what did I have in different places? That's why it's really nice that they included the dual layered ones in the Kickstarter edition. That's an upgrade. If you're getting the retail one, you might want to think about getting. Another component I want to talk about briefly are these, the phase markers here. These things I have found actually kind of unnecessary. I mean, it's still kind of nice that they included them, I guess, but really, we found just once we have our phase cards out, we can just as easily go around and go by each person's thing. Okay, first person's production, and the second person maybe might have been action, and then and third person's production, sorry, development, and then action and production. Just to go by the cards like that. Very, very easy to do without the need to even have these. But if you like to have them, it is nice that they included notches here on the side where these just kind of fit in there like that. And so, got that upside down. And so, you'd have the different ones. First one's going to be here, second one, third one, fourth one, and the fifth one. So that's kind of cool the way they did that. But again, I found it kind of unnecessary to use those. We don't wind up using them. But if you enjoy using them, then go ahead and use them. So that's about all I have to say about the components, other than the cards look nicer than the original Terraforming Mars, and just in general, the components are what you would expect. They work out really well. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the multiplayer mode. Now in the multiplayer, It plays differently a bit than Terraforming Mars. First of all, in all the modes, it's a bit tighter at the beginning, I feel. In Terraforming Mars, you start out with 20 terraforming rating, which means you're going to be getting 20 money production every round unless you've lowered it or hired it from the very beginning. And then, of course, that's going to go up as you raise your terraform rating. In Ares Expedition, you're going to start at 5 terraforming rating, which means that you're only getting 5 monies until you start either raising your money production or your TR. And so those first few rounds, once you've spent your money, it seems a bit tighter in Ares Expedition than Terraforming Mars because you're not getting as much money. But also towards the end, it seems to ramp up even stronger than the regular Terraforming Mars game. So it's a little bit different there, especially when you get into the cooperative and solo modes, which I'm going to talk about in just a moment. But as far as how I like the gameplay for the multiplayer, I've played a few multiplayer games and I've enjoyed it. It's a bit different of a puzzle than regular Terraforming Mars is. It feels a bit different along the way, especially since you are doing the different phases, and so you're not doing everything you want to do each round, but also at the same time you're able to do things more often than you would have, at least as far as production goes. Production can happen every couple actions if you wanted it to, every couple of things that you do. And so you can kind of balance that a little bit and however you want to. And so it's a little bit different of a feel to it. I enjoy it. I think it gives me something different than Terraforming Mars. I do think that as far as the multiplayer goes, I do enjoy Terraforming Mars more than Ares Expedition, just overall. But at the same time, the fact that it's a quicker setup and quicker game, I can see Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition getting to the table more often than the original Terraforming Mars. And so I see benefits both there. I think I'll enjoy playing Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition quite a bit. I may even get more playtime just because it is a quicker setup and a quicker play than Terraforming Mars was. Or is, should I say. And so I see myself playing both games for different reasons. I do like that there's a slight variation there with the phases. It adds something interesting to the game. And so I enjoy both games. I would rate Terraforming Mars a 10, and Ares Expedition I'm going to rate about an 8 to 8.5 maybe as far as the multiplayer goes. Let's go ahead and talk about the cooperative mode next. There's a 2-player cooperative mode, which I thought was very unique. It was something I was very much looking forward to when I heard about this game and heard that it was going to have that. My wife and I enjoy playing board games a lot together, both competitively and cooperatively. And so I was like, well, this is a way that we can play that, because sometimes when you play multiplayer games down to 2-player, it's not quite the same experience as when you have 3 or 4 players. And so it was nice to be able to have a mode that was specifically made for 2 people. And so we tried that out a couple times. We've lost both times that we've played it, and it's a very difficult mode. I'd say it's more difficult than the solo mode, and we'll get to that in just a moment as well. Now what you do in the cooperative mode is you play trying to get the entirety of Mars terraformed in 15 rounds. And so that's a pretty good crunch there, especially when you think that each round you're only playing 2 different things. Now, one nice thing about the cooperative mode is you are allowed to share which phase you're doing. In the competitive mode, everybody's just kind of trying to guess what other people are going to be doing so that they can try to get more actions going on at the same time. And in the multiplayer mode, it doesn't really matter that much if you only do 1 or 2 things, because you can just extend the game longer and longer. In the cooperative mode, as well as in the solo mode, you want to try and maximize things as much as possible because you only have a certain amount of time in order to get everything terraformed. And the way that's clocked in the cooperative mode is you set out 27 bronze cubes and 3 of one of the unused player cubes, and each round each of you will take 1 of those cubes. And if you're taking the bronze cubes, you're taking that and you're putting it into your money, and so you're getting that little bit of extra money each round, or 1 coin each round that you do that. If you take one of the 3 cubes that are not bronze, the regular player cubes, it means you're going to trade a card with your partner that round. And so if you see that your partner's got a certain engine going, and you got a card in your hand that doesn't really work well for your engine, but it's going to work for theirs, you can be like, I'm going to trade you this card, and they might look and say, well, I have a card that might work well for them, so I'll give them that card. And so that's kind of a neat little extra thing there to try and help Instead of you just having to sell a card that's not working well for your engine or whatever, you can trade that then. Three times you can trade cards throughout the 15 rounds. And so when you run out of those cubes, because you're each taking one each round, there's 30 cubes total for 15 rounds. If you haven't terraformed it at the end of that round, then you've lost the game. But not only that, and something that makes it even more difficult in the cooperative mode, is you also have to have averaged 40 TR apiece. You have to get a combined 80 TR. And that seems to be the hardest part as far as that goes. The first game we played, we actually terraformed Mars right at the very end there in the last round, which is, it's going to be like that pretty much when you play the cooperative or the solo mode. You're going to come right down to the wire there. And we got it terraformed, but we only had 70 TR, I think it was, instead of 80. And so we wound up losing. Second time we played, we actually didn't manage to terraform, and we only had 75 TR. And so it's very difficult to not only both be focusing on getting that, not necessarily just the TR, it's the victory points at the end. I said TR, but that, you raise the TR track at the end there for the victory points, but it's actually taking the victory points. And so you have to have those 80 victory points, and that is very difficult, especially when you're trying to focus not as much on victory points, because you only have a short amount of time to get all of Mars terraformed. In the solo modes, including the solo mode for Terraforming Mars, as well as the solo mode for Ares Expedition, you don't have to worry about your victory points and how much there's going to be at the end. It's nice to be able to build that up and to compare your scores, but you don't actually need victory points to win the game. And so to actually have to worry about both getting it terraformed in a short amount of time and victory points, it is very, very difficult. I don't know if we're going to be able to beat it. We're going to try more times, but it's a tough mode. Way tougher than solo mode in either of the Terraforming Marses. And so I want to warn you about that going in, and we'll see if we can ever beat that. And so I'm not sure how much I like the cooperative mode, just because it is so unbelievably difficult from the couple times that we've played it. Go ahead and give it a try, though. It's definitely worth a try. A few tries maybe to try and see if you can get used to it and get it done. As far as the solo mode goes, I've really enjoyed the solo mode. I've played it a handful of times already. Just like in regular Terraforming Mars, you were trying to get the temperature raised, the oxygen raised, as well as get 9 ocean tiles flipped. And so you're trying to get all that done in 25 rounds. And the way that those are marked is you take a cube that is not one of your cubes, one of the other color cubes, and you put it on the, let me get the board over here. You put it starting on the 1 there, and and you have the 5 different phase cards for the other as a dummy deck, and you're flipping those phase cards one at a time. You go ahead and pick your phase, and you hope that the one that gets flipped is not going to match the phase you pick, so that you can do more each round. And then when all those 5 cards from the dummy deck have been flipped, at the end of that round, you go ahead and move the cube over 1. And depending on if you're playing easy, normal, or hard, there's different things that happen there. If you're playing hard mode, you don't do anything extra other than just move that cube down. If you're playing on normal mode, you will move either the oxygen or the temperature up 1. And you don't get any TR for that. It's kind of like another player had raised it in essence there. If you're playing on easy mode, you get to move 2. You can do either oxygen 1 and temperature 1, or you can do 2 temperature or 2 oxygen in order to help quicker terraform the planet there. I've only played it on normal. I think that's just kind of the right spot there. Having nothing being raised at all other than what you can do seems a bit difficult in this game, and I think it's a little bit overkill to go ahead and raise 2 things each time. Of course, I'm pretty experienced on playing the solo mode of regular Terraforming Mars, and I've generally won more than I've lost so far as I've been playing Ares Expedition on solo. And so it seems to be just the right spot for me. I still lose sometimes on the solo, but I'm winning a decent bit as well. Seems to be just the right. I can't imagine beating it on the hard mode. I'd probably lose every single time so far, at least, if I tried it on the hard mode. And then once you get over to here, you will go into the final round. You will have played 5, 10, 15, 20. And so going into the last round, it will be the last 5. You have 25 total rounds to terraform Mars. And so in the last round, instead of all the phase cards being at random, those phase cards now you get to choose each time which one you're going to choose for the dummy deck. And after you've chosen the one, it gets discarded. And so you'll get to do each of the things one more time from the dummy deck, as well as you do yours the normal way, choosing one phase each time. You can't choose the same phase twice, just like the same in the multiplayer and the cooperative. You can only choose that card, a different card than you chose the last time, but you are able to then go right back to the one you chose before. And the last round, I find you're doing a lot of just produce this round, action this round, produce this round, action this round to try and get everything terraformed at the end. That's kind of the strategy that I've gone for, because sometimes you might want to throw in there construction, but the development at that point is going to be wasted for the most part. You need to have everything developed and your engine running as best as you can before you get into that final set of 5 phases. As far as the other one goes, just trying to maximize the way things go, and so that's how that's how the solo mode is going to work. I think I may even enjoy the solo mode in Ares Expedition more than I do the solo mode in Terraforming Mars. I enjoy them both. I just give a slight notch here to Ares Expedition. I don't know if that's just because it's new and fresh and I'm enjoying it, but overall, I think it's just mainly that puzzle of the different phases working in there, and the big difference I see beyond the phases there is you start out very, very slow in Ares Expedition. It seems like slower than Terraforming Mars by a good bit as far as being able to get things done. And it almost feels like nothing's happening. You can be 3 rounds in, and it's like I haven't even gotten a third of the way up of the temperature and the oxygen and the flipping of the ocean tiles. And how am I ever going to win this game as far as I've gotten so far? But then something just happens in about the 4th round, and especially in that 5th round, where you're just doing things after things after things, terraforming the planet. You're getting a lot of money coming in that you're able to do standard projects with. You're getting a lot of production that you're then able to put into actions to raise that temperature, to add forest greeneries in there. One of the things I don't find happening a lot is the ability to flip oceans naturally. I've been using a lot of aquifers to do that, which is a standard project. Kind of different there. I feel like there's more cards that wind up flipping oceans in Terraforming Mars. That's just kind of the feel that I've had. But you can go ahead and just kind of spend the standard project to do that. One of the nice things about the oceans is they give you a little bit of a benefit, and so you might want to try and do the oceans a little bit sooner than some of the other things if you're going to be spending for standard projects wise. To go ahead and get the benefits to kind of add those to be able to do greeneries and have a little more money to do other things. Get more cards back that you can either spend for 3 or keep and use. And so there's an advantage certainly to getting those oceans done first. But I just really like how you've got this, it feels really tight at the beginning, that you're not getting a whole lot done, and all of a sudden it's like the floodgates open, and you're able to do so much so quickly, and it's like if it went from feeling like, am I ever going to be able to win this, to wow, it all just came together. I just love it when a plan comes together type thing there at the end. And it's been very enjoyable to play that solo. Probably my favorite way so far to play Ares Expedition, although I haven't played enough multiplayer and cooperative yet to really fully compare them. I played a little bit more solo. But I just really, really enjoyed it. I've enjoyed solo on Ares Expedition more than Terraforming Mars. I've enjoyed multiplayer more for Terraforming Mars than Ares Expedition. And so there's a little bit of a toss there as far as those go. I enjoy both games though. Terraforming Mars, Ares Expedition, both of them very enjoyable to me. I'll play them both. Continue to play them both quite a bit, I believe, going forward. I give the edge to Terraforming Mars overall. But Ares Expedition definitely has a place in my collection, and I'm going to be enjoying playing it. I recommend it, even if you have Terraforming Mars. It's a little bit different of a puzzle. It's a different game to a certain degree, but it has that same feel for the most part. And so it is a little bit shorter. I think they've kind of exaggerated the time frame there in saying that you can get it done in less than an hour. If you are playing solo and you play pretty fast, I'd say it plays right about an hour, at least it has for me. If you're playing multiplayer, it's going to be more than an hour for most people. If you get really, really fast players that can just knock it out, you might get under an hour. It is definitely shorter than the regular Terraforming Mars. Our group of 3 players typically plays Terraforming Mars in 2 to 2.5 hours. 3 if we're piddling around doing too much with cities. We can play this game. The first time we played it, it was about 1 hour and 45 minutes, but that was kind of learning the game a bit. Since then, I think we played in about 1.5 hours usually. I know Cooperative, we played just under 1.5 hours. When I play it solo, it's between 1 hour and 1.5 hours usually. It's getting closer and closer to the hour mark as I've gotten more used to it. So that's kind of the time frame there. It's just a little over 1 hour for solo, maybe 1.5 hours for multiplayer or cooperative. That is quicker than Terraforming Mars. I wouldn't say it plays in under half the time, but it does play quicker. And so that's one of the nice perks to this game. So I highly recommend Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition. Give it a check out if you like the regular Terraforming Mars. If you haven't even played the regular Terraforming Mars, it's a good introductory to Terraforming Mars. And it adds a little bit more with the phases there, but if you played Race for the Galaxy, you'll be used to those. But it's pretty quick to catch on to, and there are other things that are more streamlined and easy to handle for new players. I would highly recommend it whether you're new to Terraforming Mars or you've played Terraforming Mars before. And so that's my opinion on this. I give an 8.5 out of 10, whereas as I said earlier, I give Terraforming Mars a straight up 10. So I still say it's a good game to have in your collection. I'm going to enjoy playing both. And so get out there, give it a go. If you are into good engine builders, it's a good engine builder. Hit subscribe to see more videos, and I'll catch you in the next one.